Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to the SHC Division of Business podcast. This is your host, Ethan Sisk, and today we'll be featuring Carlos Smith, the COO of an electronics company. In today's episode, we'll be covering positive growth indicators that are happening in Mobile, how leaders can successfully cultivate relationships with employees, and why Carlos's company sells low-voltage technology. Thank you for coming on, Mr. Smith.
Sure, of course. Glad to be here.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. So my name is Carlos Smith. Actually graduated from Spring Hill in 2004 with a degree in finance. Come back often as I married a girl from Spring Hill, from Mobile. We met here at Spring Hill. And currently I am the Chief Operating Officer over at Silmar Electronics, which is a wholesale distributor of low voltage. It's a family-owned and operated company based out of Miami, with a geographical footprint throughout the Southeast, and then the export side into the Caribbean, Central, and South America as well. And we sell anything that would be low-voltage security products to the trade. So we don't sell to the end users. We sell to the companies doing the installations.
What are some examples of low voltage products?
Sure. So the main four verticals that we sell are anything within the home. That's going to be alarms, security, home automation, lighting control, music. Then we get into the fire alarm side of things as well, which is mandatory for any commercial building. The building that we're in right now, needs a fire alarm. It needs to be inspected by the local fire marshal. So that's a big part of our business as well. And then the other two verticals are CCTV. So you can walk around campus and probably see cameras everywhere. And they've really evolved. The technology has evolved and the prices come down over the years. So there's cameras everywhere. And then the last vertical that we sell is access control. So you want to limit access to a door a room. There's different ways of doing that. And then we sell the cables and then a lot of stuff for the IT companies and stuff like that. But that is everything in the low voltage side of things that we sell.
That's huge, and a lot of those are necessities, like the firearms, and you have to have them. With time in commercial buildings, do like the fire alarms expire and they have to go for new ones?
Yeah, absolutely. I was having this conversation with one of the professors yesterday as we were walking through Yenny Hall. I pointed out the fire alarm system, and they mentioned, I said, that radio on top, that's, I mentioned the brand, and said, oh yeah, that was just put in. And I said, well, that was put in because there was a sunset of 3G. So 3G went away, and you had to, upgrade to LTE or a better signal. So there's a constant, evolution within fire alarms. The panel might stay there for the most part, but a lot of it has gone wireless.
Yeah.
So, you get a new building, you don't have to run, cables, wires throughout, and you can do wireless, and it's just as strong as, traditional wired
Really?
fire alarm systems. Yeah. And then that communicates back to the local, fire station, whichever is going to service, Spring Hill. So if something's going on, they get communication right away that something's happening.
Is the LTE mandated that it's got to be in commercial buildings?
I don't know what the mandate is. You have to just have a strong signal, but everything is pretty much LTE, 4G, anything that's higher than that. So they've done away with anything 3G.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What made you want to go in this field?
Sure. So, my grandfather started the company back in 1963.
Wow.
And it wasn't a low voltage company. It was a company of manufacturing eavesdropping devices. So from 63 to 67.
It's like spyware, kind of?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Sweet.
And so we were making these and we were selling them, really not knowing where they were going, but we were selling them. And then in 1967, 68, federal law comes out and says, hey, that's unconstitutional. You cannot listen in on others. Obviously, the main case back then was Watergate with Richard Nixon. So we did pivot to low voltage, which we had some connections in, and we started selling low voltage and installing as well. But we did find that there was a conflict of interest with doing the installation because we were selling to the installers as well. And a quick funny little piece of it is the FBI did come to our doors a couple times, letting us know that they did find two of our devices that we manufactured in post offices, one in Denver and one in Atlanta. We don't know how they got there, but somebody was listening in to the post office back in the early 70s.
Why would that be of importance to listen to the post office?
Don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I guess it's a good product if the hackers.
Absolutely. So, but we've been. Back to your question, Ethan. It's been in our family. I worked summers there, and then in 2013, I was in the finance industry. Enjoying what I was doing. I was managing private wealth, and then in 2013, my dad and I started talking. He had taken the company from the mid '80s to grown it, through the early 2000s, early 2010s. He had gone through some personal things and says, look, I may be looking to sell, or why don't we talk about you coming on board? So, I made the career change to move into business, low voltage, and been there since 2013. And we'll be there hopefully for many years to come, growing the business.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So your dad expanded it to South America, or was that
no?
You?
So we've exported out of Miami into Central, South, and the Caribbean since 1992.
Wow.
But in 1998, I opened up our first location down in Bogota, Colombia. We had lost a lot of market share down in some of the major cities we were selling to. Main reason is as a wholesale distributor, we buy from several manufacturers. We purchase their product and then we sell it to the trade. Well, they were noticing that these developing countries and these major cities within these developing countries, for example, Bogota down in Colombia, the capital, they said, well, why are we going through Silmar Electronics in the U.S. when we could go directly there? So we had lost some market share. So we said, why don't we go open there? And we did in 2018, and it's been great. The flip side to that is you have the Caribbean market, which there's several islands, where it's much tougher for a manufacturer to be able to go directly to all the different islands. And so if you look at our export business, our strongest piece of market share is within the Caribbean side of things, because we are able to service them much better than a manufacturer would be to go to all the different islands.
Is that just because you're located in Miami and close access?
Yep, it's Miami's such an international city with so much commerce that goes into LATAM, which is Central, South, and the Caribbean. So that's the main reason. Yeah.
So coming out of college, you started in finance, and
I did.
What did that look like coming out?
Sure. So you graduate and okay, I got to do something. So I took two positions. My first one was in New Orleans with Enterprise Rent-A-Car through their management trainee program. I was there for about 3 months. And then an opportunity came to start doing some financial analytics over at Pan American Life Insurance in New Orleans. And that's when I really started to get into, financial data and working with underwriters and working, with the different insurance teams. Data is such a powerful tool to be able to make decisions and, do whatever it is you might do. So I was working, stuff that you might learn in a finance, maybe like a 201 or 301 class. I was, it was being applied to what I was doing. And then Hurricane Katrina hit. Nobody knew what was going to happen. They relocated to Dallas for the time being. I said, let me move back to Miami. I proceeded to get I worked at Silmar, the company I'm with now, our family's company, for about a year. And then I went on to get a master's with a concentration in finance from UCF. And then I went into work with Northern Trust. Okay. And I was at Northern Trust for about 6 years. And I managed private wealth. So what it looks like on the finance side is You're constantly in front of, the Reuters screen. You're tracking the
Is
markets.
that shows like what stocks up and down? The
That's
Reuters?
correct. Yep.
Okay.
You're seeing what's happening in the different markets from the S&P, the Dow, BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China.
So like the Forex exchange.
You're looking at everything.
Wow.
And more than anything, Ethan, it's for, I would say it's for the conversations you have with your clients, because, those clients have come to Northern Trust or to whatever bank that they choose because they feel comfortable with the direction that the bank is taking and the strategy. So you do follow a lot of what the bank is saying. You invest based on those individuals and those families, risk appetite. If they're very conservative, you're going to be more in bonds and cash and, a little bit of exposure into stocks. If they're very aggressive and have a long-term time horizon, then you might be a little bit more heavily weighted into stocks, growth. But yeah, you're constantly understanding what's going on to be able to have these conversations with your clients. Everybody had a subscription to the Wall Street Journal, to Bloomberg, to Investors Business.
Bloomberg's pretty expensive, right?
Yeah, all of that's it's expensive, but the more you can have conversations with your clients. I mean, they've worked for many years to amass some wealth. Some have gotten it from families and stuff like that, but most of them have worked hard, so they want their wealth to be preserved.
Protected.
And yeah, exactly, and grow and for the next generations. But they do require some TLC. So you are having conversations with them quite often about what's happening in the markets. What our strategy is. So you have to be on top of your game, and then that has allowed me to because it's not always easy conversations. I started in 2007. When the financial markets, tanked because of real estate and subprime mortgages, and that was a very tough time. So some very tough conversations back then. But then that allows you to have conversations in business later on in life. And not everything is not always easy. A lot of challenges, but hey,
Definitely
you find ways to get through them.
Would you implement some of the strategies you studied and used for your clients in your own money management for your personal assets?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm my early 40s. So I started investing in my early 20s, and I was max growth. So I think I had a little bit of cash, a little bit of bonds, maybe under 10%, and close to 85-90% was stocks. Because if the good Lord wants me to be here a while, I'll plan on being here. And so my point is I've got a long-term time horizon. So I can invest and have that money grow. As time has gone on, I'm still heavily weighted, personally, still heavily weighted in stocks. That's where you get growth. But, you do start to move, some funds around for personal reasons. And you become a little bit more conservative. So you learn that in basic finance classes, and the professors here, all go through that and stuff. And then if you do some graduate work, you get into that a lot more as well.
Do you have any real estate holdings?
I
heard the market's really strong in Miami.
Correct. So besides some personal stuff that we have, the company, we do own some of our locations as well, and then. We do own, down in Colombia as well. So, if you haven't read it, Rich Dad, Poor Dad,
I have.
Hits on, the power of real estate and investing.
That was a great book for me. And then did you hear about the scandals that came out with him on, it was some sort of, because he always said, he preached that you should pay yourself first but pay other people. The pitch was that, the common person wants to tip at a restaurant and do good, but then they don't want to pay the extra 5% to get a better financial advisor.
Right.
But it came out that he was shorting some of his people.
Okay. No, I didn't hear it. it seems like so much comes out sometimes, with individuals. But I think the message is critical.
Yes.
Back when I read it, years ago, and still is today. To your point earlier, the Miami market is on fire. It's I feel for the first time home buyers, because it is very tough to buy down there, and it's a little bit worrisome. You've had a lot of real money come in from other parts of the country, from other parts of the world, so that helps. But how about the service industry, the middle class, the folks just starting out of school or out of high school, they're having a tough time.
Definitely.
So that's that is worrisome. But it's a good market right now for real estate. If you're selling, it's good. If you're buying, it's tough.
Yeah. Do you have to travel to Bogota often?
So I've got a partner. He's a minority owner with me. He's Colombian. So he's taken the lead with the managing of the business down there, and I go once, maybe twice a year. We have a big show in August, so I spend a week down there, and then if there's another reason for me to go down, I'll go down. Maybe springtime or so.
Did you meet that partner here, or were you looking to expand it?
Yeah, so he has been with Silmar, with our company, for 18 years. He started in 2006. He's our head engineer. And just, someone, it's always tricky to go into business with other people. It's easy to employ people and all that. But when you partner with somebody, you really have to be confident and trusting that individual is going to, your visions are going to align. And it has. It's been a good partnership.
There's a phrase I heard, and it's that the only ship that doesn't float is a partnership.
I think there could be some truth to that. Yeah, there could definitely be some truth. But yeah, it's trust is a big one, and being on top of things, and communication in anything, in any relationship, is critical. And we meet weekly to discuss things about Colombia.
So at Spring Hill, you had Dr. J for your finance and
I did.
those classes.
I did.
How was your experience at Spring Hill? Because you graduated in
04.
04. I hear it was quite the party school back then.
It's not anymore.
Yeah, it still is,
Yeah.
but they have some old pictures, and
Sure.
I've been going through the archives to find like historical stuff to post from the business pages. And
Sure.
just the old pictures, and it looks like a different place.
Yeah, no, it was. So, my time with the business professors was excellent. I spent some time with Dr. J yesterday, and we were kind of reminiscing about things back then. And I could speak to what I went through. Spring Hill provided an excellent foundation for business, for learning. Whatever your major was, management, finance, econ, entrepreneurship. And I hear we've got a supply chain
it's a newer
degree
one
now, which is fantastic. But my experience, was great. And it prepared me for things later on. And then, my time at Spring Hill, I joined, a fraternity, which was, a big part of my college experience. Like I mentioned earlier, I married a girl from here. And, we're up here often visiting her family and, spending holidays here.
Was there any debate in living here compared to where you're from, Miami?
There was. Usually if you look, a lot of times, the husband will follow the girl. Every case, every family has their own intricacies, and this one was one where it made sense for us to be in Miami, from a family standpoint, business standpoint, opportunities, and it's worked out. It's been good. We've been there now since 2008, so 16 years, together as a married couple, and she's happy, I hope. But no, it's good. We got 3 kids, and
nice.
trying to raise them the best we can.
How long after college did y'all get married?
So I graduated in '04 and we got married in '08.
4 years.
And she graduated from here in '06.
Okay.
Yeah. So young compared to when other people are getting married these days.
Yeah. Are there any crazy stories you can look back on and share from your time here? Because the apartments were a newer renovation.
They were.
That's a hot spot nowadays.
They were. So, not so much of a crazy story, but just kind of putting things into perspective. So it was about 3 weeks left. No, about a month left in school. And a good buddy of mine, still very close with him today. He's from New Orleans. We roomed together for 3 years. We were sitting on, the bench outside of our apartment looking at the 14th fairway. And he says to me, Carlos, this will probably be one of the last times that we, are able to sit here in something like this, not have as many cares in the world, until we're older, until we've amassed that wealth, man. We got to live it up. And I said, you know what, you're absolutely right. And in my mind, when the wheels are turning, I said, my God, what am I going to do? So I went the next day. We had a buddy who had graduated the year before. He was working at a local bank. And I took out a loan for $3,000. I paid $1,500 of it right back. So I had $1,500. My first, note was due after paying that $1,500, not till I think December. So I said, okay, by then I'll have a job. So I took $1,500 just to party for the next, month or so. And then finally, when I did pay off the loan, I get a call from a lady that was running the mail room here at the time. Says, Mr. Smith? I said, yes. And she said, well, I got a title here for your car. Looks like you had, put it up for collateral. And I didn't have any Carlos Smith. So do you want me to hang on to this? I said, yes, please. So I had to put my car up for collateral for the loan. Anyway, it all worked out. But yeah, I decided to, seize the moment at the time, and it all worked out. But yeah, it was, that's just a small little thing. I mean, there's other stories, but that's just one of them.
Would y'all party on campus or downtown?
So the layout of Mobile is very different. I'm actually in town right now. I think there's a lot of opportunity, for growth as the city has grown. But we'd spend a lot of time on campus. There was a lot of local, establishments we would go to, some, bars, little nightclubs close by. What downtown is today is very different from what downtown was when I was here. There was maybe, the Strip closer, to the water that people would go to, a lot of live music. There was a place called Soul Kitchen, which is not where it is now. It was a little bit closer.
Would you say Matt Lamont's played into?
He's done a fantastic
developing
job.
the downtown area.
Matt's done a tremendous job. And I'm staying down there now, on this trip. And yesterday and this morning, I drove around a little bit, as it was kind of quiet. Yeah. And just the growth is tremendous to see. And another, I'm going to kind of go off real quick, but you take a look at what is happening to cities, and the footprint of this city is growing tremendously. North, if you continue going north on 65, you're going out west, and you look for indicators. You look, are they putting more grocery stores in? Are they putting more Lowe's in? What's the home builder market like? And there's been significant growth in the Southeast as a whole, since COVID. Downtown, just the city of Mobile, it's nice to see the growth here.
And Mobile has so much potential. They're expanding the port to make it able to fit the largest cargo ship in the world. It's planned to be completed in 2025. Airbus is here. Airbus is the fourth largest producer of commercial aircraft in the world, and it's in Mobile. And we got rail, got coast.
Well, yeah, you love to see that because it brings jobs, that brings families, that brings opportunity for more growth. It just it spawns. It's capitalism. It's wonderful. It's I think what is needed any major city. And if you take a look at the geographical footprint, you're 2 hours away from New Orleans. You're close to some of the most beautiful beaches, whether it be golf Gulf Shores all the way east, to Panama City. You head north and you start to get into some cities, in Alabama that are doing very well. Huntsville's doing tremendous. There's a lot of growth there. There's a lot of potential. And, I noticed it when I was here, and, even more so now. It's almost, it's not a nomadic city, but there's a lot more of a footprint of, residents living here from all over, the country and, different parts of the world, so that's nice to see. It brings opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Is that why you're in Mobile now, is to seek some of that opportunity and growth?
That's right. Yeah. So, like I mentioned, our footprint is in the southeast for Sylmar, and we've got, we've been doing well. We got a good team. So, looking at different cities, what makes most sense to us is you don't want to go into the Atlantas, you don't want to go into the Charlottes.
Is that because the competition that's already there?
Yeah. So if you go in, you're gonna have to buy market share. We play at a certain margin. From what we purchase from the manufacturers to what we resell to the installers and the dealers, the integrators. There's a margin that we make on the product. So if you go into a very established, city, like in Atlanta, you're going to have to sell at much less points just to get market share. Yeah. That doesn't make sense. What makes sense is the Mobiles of the world, the Greenville, South Carolinas, the Huntsvilles, Raleigh. Raleigh's been doing very well for many years now. But those types of cities, the secondary cities, if you want to call them that have a that have potential, that are starting to grow. There's competition. You always want competition, but maybe maybe it's the right time to have another competitor, come in, another supplier, and so we've done our due diligence over the last 6 months, both on just data that I'm seeing here in the city, plus conversations, with local people here that have done well, and yeah, so that's why I'm here. I got a full day of looking at different locations.
Yeah, are you looking for warehousing space or office space?
Yeah, so that's a good question, Ethan. Our in Miami, our headquarters is it's 40,000 square feet.
Wow.
10 being office space and 30 being warehouse. Everything we purchase comes into Miami, and then we send it out to all of our locations.
Where does it come from?
All over. Manufacturers are all, for the most part, U.S. based, but products are made everywhere from the U.S. to Mexico. There's Chinese made product, Korea. A lot of product is made in Europe as well. So it comes from all over. It's stationed in the U.S. and then it's sent out to the different distribution hubs. So once product comes into Sylmar, it's received, and then we transfer it out to our branches. What a branch looks like, and thus what I'd be looking for, here in Mobile is anywhere from 25 to 5,000 square foot, 2,500 to 5,000 square foot location. You got to have some showroom, to display your products. It's got to be easy for, a truck to come in and out of, whether it's, they're dropping product off, whether it's UPS, whether they're picking up product. So we look for low industrial type spaces. And then, something that was told to me, and, at first it didn't really resonate at first. Not that it didn't resonate, I just didn't think about it. It was told to me early on, when I started in this business, and then I think about it, and it's totally true. It's got to be easy to make a left out of wherever you're going to be. So think about that. Anybody can make a right, because traffic is going that way. But
yeah,
if it's hard for you to make a left, that's going to be tough for customers to come in. So think about it, and when you are just going anywhere now, whether you're going to grab a cup of coffee or something, is it easy for me to get in and out of? So those are different factors that we look at. You want to be close to the interstate. You want to be close, to an airport maybe.
And have parking.
You got to have parking. And then, it's got to be friendly to the customer.
Definitely. I was just wondering because I'm getting into commercial real estate.
Sure.
I had my first day of an internship yesterday. So the broker let me get on his MLS and look for stuff. So I was seeing all these listings.
Yep.
So I'll keep that
Yeah.
square footage range in mind.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. No, it's real estate is I don't know how much you know about McDonald's, but McDonald's really made their money on real estate.
McDonald's is the largest holder of real estate in the U.S.
That's correct. Yeah. So if you own the dirt, you're gonna get paid. You're gonna do well. So yeah, keep at it, man. That's a very good
yes, sir. Thank you.
Industry to be in.
There's a quote that Churchill said, and it's buy land, they stop making it.
Yeah, that's right.
So, buy up.
That's right.
On the factory producing standpoint, are you familiar with maquiladoras in Mexico?
I'm not, no.
It's I've got family that does mattresses in El Paso.
Okay.
So the maquiladora is you go into Mexico with some sort of product and then you turn it over to Mexican nationals that have the system, and then they just give you a flat rate for it to be exported. So that's what General Motors is doing, and a lot of those companies. Because you're only in the Southeast now. Do you have plans to expand across the U.S.?
Well, I'll hit on that now. I think it's important what you mentioned about Mexico, because we are seeing a lot of our manufacturers put manufacturing plants in Mexico, and it might be for that reason. From the wages, from the rates, it's got to make sense from a business standpoint.
Definitely.
So we do have some of our larger manufacturers that have put a manufacturing location in Mexico. As far as expansion goes, we've been doing this for many years, and it's by design. We don't grow that fast. You got to be able to manage growth.
Yes.
If you have that, hockey stick type growth, A, you could lose your way. B, it could be hard to manage. You want to go slow and steady. I want to be here another 60 years. I want, if my kids want to get into this, I'd like to, be able to cultivate that as well. Right now, Mobile, if there's an appetite, there's some other markets that we've looked at, then maybe.
Gotcha.
One quick thing that came to mind, the beauty about being down in Miami is there's so much that's going on in Miami that so many trucks come down there, right? So think about this from a logistics standpoint and supply chain. You've got all these carriers bringing product down to South Florida, right? And they're put on pallets, okay? When that pallet gets here, that pallet is emptied, So what makes sense is, hey, we're in Miami. We got to get stuff out of Miami. And others do have to do it as well. But there's more coming down into Miami than there's going out sometimes.
Yes.
So, we've been able to negotiate, getting back to the thing with Mexico, flat rates, good rates. We've been able to negotiate a very good rate on getting product out of Miami. There's nowhere else to go. You can't go. You go into the Keys, but there's nothing really in the Keys other than, fishing and good times. But, to that point, being down in Miami has helped us out a lot. We're at some point, it might be worth looking at another distribution center at another part in the country, another part of the country. But it's got to make business sense.
Gotcha. If the office in Mobile does, get established, would you look at Spring Hill students for potential sales interns or supply chain?
Yeah, absolutely. What we look for, Ethan, is first of all, what you can't teach. You got to, personality, hardworking, wanting to be there, wanting to do better for themselves, do better, for the company. That can't be taught. You can preach it, and hopefully they jump on board to the vision and the strategy. You could teach product. You could teach, how to, 2-wire smoke detector, 4-wire smoke detector. You can teach all of that stuff. Would I look at Spring Hill? Of course, A couple of the professors yesterday put me in contact with a couple interns, or excuse me, a couple students that are looking for internships. We've got an internship down in our purchasing department in Miami for the summer. But yeah, just we're always looking. We're part of the Handshake internship program that's throughout all the schools, and we pick from Florida International University, University of Miami, College of Charleston, as we have a branch in Charleston as well. Another technical school up in the Greenville area we've gotten somebody from as well. So yeah, we're always looking for students, whether it be internship or they get out of school and they want to start working.
Yeah.
And we usually start them as a sales trainee, so they learn operations, they learn part numbers, they're receiving pallets, they're transferring product out, they're doing inventory control, cycle counts, all that kind of stuff that is, for lack of a better phrase, not the sexy part of the business. It's not the sales, the big sale, but it's critical to what we do as an inventory, logistics, supply company. I mean, you are turning inventory all the time. You're bringing stuff in, selling it, collecting the money from your customers, and then being able to pay your vendors. It's just a cycle.
And sales is a great foundation because you learn the products and you and the kind of interpersonal skills that are you're forced to develop.
That's right. And then our customer isn't just somebody coming off the street, looking for something. This is what they do. They're installing this, so they know what they're doing, what they're talking about. So you have to have a sense of understanding of the product to be able to be a value add to them.
Yeah, and you're not just selling them something, you're telling them why they need it.
That's correct, yeah.
What's your daily routine look like as COO?
So, I'm up pretty early in the morning, try to do some sort of exercise, and then
the Miami climate's phenomenal for running and outside.
It is.
And I got a buddy that runs at University of Miami, and we'll do calls, and he's sending me videos. And it's like, man, it's 30 degrees here, 40 degrees, and he's got 65, 70. It's like
no, it's great. It really is. We're blessed to be down there. But once done with all that, my wife's a teacher at the school the kids go to. So she takes the kids, leaves the house at 7. I'm right out the door right after her. And pick up my brother, and we head over to work. He works with us as well, and I'm at the office by 7:30. Doors open at 8, and I'm there till 5 every day. I do work with everybody. I'd say 70% of what I do is, even though my title is the operations. My dad George is part-time, we'll call it. He does spend a lot of time overseas. So it's just a lot of employee management, what I do. And then I do have a team that is really in the day-to-day operation. So I can be doing anything from operational work, understanding, what's going on, with, product that we just got in, making a decision on, hey, should we bring, this type of product in, working with a vendor to, working with an employee, whether it's, a challenge, whether it's an issue, whether it's, an anniversary milestone. So it varies from day to day. I'm not on on our ERP system, doing sales, doing quotes. We got a team that does all that. So I'm, my hand's in a little bit of everything.
How important do you feel it is to know the employees' anniversaries? And
it's critical.
Yeah,
it's critical. I think there's a sense of wanting to be appreciated, wanting to be recognized, and we're a business of 85 employees. Each employee has a choice to make. They can stay at Sylmar and have a career there, or they can look elsewhere. And we've had both. We've had, we have very long tenured employees, and we have, employees that have been with us a handful of years, a year, whatever the case is. But without our employees, we don't, we're just we're doing everything else that everybody else is doing, within our industry. So it's critical. It really is. And we try to do a lot to appreciate them, to recognize them, to provide them platforms for growth.
Yeah.
So it's one of the cornerstones of the company.
Definitely. What do students looking to get into the tech industry need to know?
Well, I think you have to first of all enjoy what you're doing. You know, if you're into sales, you could sell anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think you have to enjoy being a salesperson.
Sorry to interrupt, but you
Yeah.
had sales on your LinkedIn? Like it's one of your...
I mean, I've done some sales, but
Yeah.
I look at it more as you know, just the relationships, you know, talking to people and stuff. But we do have, you know, a sales team
Yeah.
that, you know, they're tasked with, you know, getting, you know, 10 to 12 appointments a week, you know, with our either current customers, potential customers, you know, companies in the industry that aren't doing anything with us at all.
Mm-hmm. Are most of the buys in store or online?
Yeah, so you know, good question. Most of them, you know, our sales channel is everything. We launched our B2B website a few years ago.
Business to business?
Mm-hmm. Our business to business website, and that grows every month.
Nice.
And you know, if an order is placed from our Fort Myers branch from one of the customers, Fort Myers gets credit for that sale. You know, the technicians, the purchasing managers still come into the stores. We do a lot of deliveries. We do a lot of after hours pickup. Somebody might call and say, hey, you know, do you have this? Perfect. I'm going to send somebody over. They might send us an email. So the actual, you know, way of selling is, you know, anything that works for the customer that we can help with. But we do try to provide a lot of channels for them to be able to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, put an order in. But yeah, it gets back to customer service.
Gotcha.
You've got to have, you know, very strong customer service.
Because the cultivating the customer relationships, that's, you know, that's what drives it, the employees and the
That's right. No,
customers.
it is a relationship industry from
Mm-hmm.
not only the salespeople, but you know, we have a collection team, and the collection team, you
Like
know,
debt collection?
no, well, yeah, you call it that, but we do we extend terms to a lot of customers. So you know, if you know, you're an established company and you know, you pay your vendors back, then you know, we'll extend 30, 45-day terms to you. So you got to pay us back within 30, 45 days. So the AR, the accounts receivables, you know, the collections team, they have such, you know, as good of a relationship with our customers as maybe the salespeople do. And our customers understand that, you know, and we do take, you know, cash payments and credit card payments and all that as well. But just, you know, trying to do the best we can for the customers, but it all gets back to relationships.
Definitely. Well, I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
I feel like
this was
that's a good way
great.
to wrap it up.
Yeah, no, this was great. I appreciate you guys. I think this is wonderful that Spring Hill has
Yeah.
you know, this studio, and you know, thank you for your time.
I would like to personally thank everyone who tuned into this episode of the SHC Division of Business podcast. Our aim is to give young professionals insight into their desired field or potential job of choice. If you gain anything from this, or have any compassion whatsoever, please share with someone you see fit.